So you started fighting in Seattle.
Yeah.
Well, at what point in your career where like you made that move down here in terms of like because you were in the UFC before Zafar even bought it, right?
Yep. I was in there. Actually, I was in Japan when the deal had just been done.
Oh.
So the Fertitas were in Japan at this UFC regional event, this UFC Japan event. Tito fought Yuki Kondo, and I was there with Lance Gibson and Dennis Hallman. And we all went out that night. The Fertitas, Dana, Big John Peretti, who used to be the matchmaker. It was all like, okay, here are the new owners.
Oh wow!
And then, it's going to shake down like this person's going to have this job, and none of it really worked out how everybody said it was going to work. But yeah, I was there right after all the ink had dried and everything. I was right in on that.
That's crazy.
But for me, there was a world of MMA that was kind of bifurcated from Japan, Brazil, the US, and I guess you could kind of say Russia, but there was like moments within even the Russian MMA scene where things are kind of peaking and falling. And in fact, Russia now is a more viable, higher level international competitive space than it was kind of at times that I was in the UFC. But there was pride, and that was huge. And it was, I know where the UFC is now, but throughout the history of Pride was by far a bigger organization in every way than the UFC was. So it was really the best place to be. And then after the Ultimate Fighter and the things that they've done since then, now the UFC is the global name. It is the biggest dog in the whole show. But there was a time when that wasn't the case.
Yeah. I miss the old like characters that were in the early UFCs and Pride. It feels like UFC guys are just like regular professional athletes now. But like back in those days, it was just some crazy people.
It's true. And, they're still crazy. They just try to tamp that shit down. Or they're crazy in more approved ways. Yeah. But, obviously the earliest UFCs were pretty crazy. There was also, what was that one? The one that Chris Haseman won in Australia.
Oh, against Elvis, right?
Yeah.
He put his like chin in his eye.
Yeah, he put his chin in his eye socket and he tapped out. And then there was guys like I don't know, Daryl Bandicoot. these totally Aussie names of people you've never heard of and maybe never heard of since. But I think people were it was pioneering. People wanted to go out in the frontier and see what they could catch for themselves. Also, everybody had their own idea about how things were going to lay out. But until you get into that ring and you really start throwing hands and feet and everything, you just really didn't know. And so a lot of folks that maybe were able to win their scraps on the street every now and again thought, well, I'll just get in here and I'll do this, that, and the other. It's like, well, maybe you will, but probably you won't. It's also a lot more different when you could pull hair and groin shot people, headbutt, grab the cage,
you can
all that
put
kind
your
of stuff.
fingers in their wounds even, right?
Yeah, you could probably do that. Yeah, for a while there, that wasn't really thought of.
Headbutts.
Headbutts, no gloves. You just get out there and keep going. Yeah. Yeah. It was sexy as shit to put it any other way, because you really felt like this was blood sport. This was the kumite, and you're just traveling around the world like you from Street Fighter, just like, okay, where's the next challenge? How good do you say, how good is this guy really? And he says he's a kung fu master. Okay, well, let's see how that pairs up with what I do. How does it match up?
That's so wild, because like these days the sport's so old, and we're not old compared to other sports, but like in a sense of we have like a backlog of techniques that we know
Mm-hmm.
sort of like that would never work.
Yeah.
But I guess early days, like you started fighting how soon after UFC 1?
UFC 1 was 93, and I started fighting, my first fight was in 97 of January.
So that's still a period of time where you might be like, what this guy does might work. There might be some crazy shit I've never seen before.
Oh, I mean, there was, okay, so from Jeremy Horn, we stole at AMC the slip elbow. So you press on their face, you're creating space, you just slip it and drop your elbow in, right? So that was a thing. And then they all stole the crucifix from us. So at AMC, we would take the near side elbow and flatten it and put our knee over the top and trap that near side arm and then just start going to town on it. And we even called it the, what was our name for it? We call it, not the supermodel. I always call it the kind of the Burt Reynolds. Because yeah. So because as you're on top, the far side arm, you'd want to pin it between your shoulder and your neck and then reach up and then capture it so that they couldn't get that arm back. And then all of a sudden, Militich's guys see that, they're like, that's fucking sick. We're gonna start doing that one. And so as we're going through these different stages, people are making huge game-changing differences to how people are approaching martial arts. But I think a lot of it is that Carl Gotch always says techniques are never invented, they're just rediscovered. Yeah. And then even within this concept of MMA, you are then taking something and you'll see different versions and iterations prior that didn't land. And then it's figuring out what was the little magic in between the thought and the application where it was lost. And then how do you shore that up? I mean, even with all the leg lock stuff, it's funny because like you're known, he's a leg lock guy, and Gordon leg lock, but it's like, oh, yeah, well, their leg locks wouldn't be shit if they didn't have everything else, right? You can't go out there as just a one-trick pony if you don't have threats in other ways, because then they just put all their defenses into that one area, and then, well, fuck, if I can't do that, well, then nothing's going to happen, I guess. My game isn't there. So, but even then, the leg lock game starts changing a little bit. And what's interesting is, as an old school leg locker, it's funny watching. I remember the first time people were coming up to me talking about Danaher and other stuff, and I go, what's this thing? He's doing the shit we were doing already. Like the way you're attacking the top of the foot, the longest lever, all this. And my always thing was teaching that the heel has to go vertical, not across. If you really want, and getting the Z, like getting the ankle and the knee alignment out of alignment. So now you've got tension across the ligaments that now you can snap them, right? Whereas if you don't have enough tension, he might be flexible enough, or you're twisting it across your body, you're really going to pop his ankle. You're not going to pop his knee. Yeah. He's just going to keep going. And maybe tomorrow he's going to be like, oh, fuck, my ankle sucks, but I won because I didn't tap and I managed to turn it around and either sub you in a grappling competition or score the points, or if it was a fight, get in there. I mean, I've seen a guy with a totally blown ACL still fighting on one leg, like hopping around, like throwing punches at people. So if you're determined or you have enough speed, then you'll just keep going.